Beloved brothers and sisters, it's high time we get started, and I want to call on you to write so that we can take our opening song. TSP 64. We will bow our heads and say the Lord's Prayer. But let's take note that it should not be that slow. We now start. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom has come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive them that trespass against us. And lead us not in temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. Hail Jehovah and Jesus Christ. Please, let's have a set while the choir will give us TSP 67 as an interlude. TSP number 67. Brothers, sisters, and friends, we give thanks to God our Father for giving us life and for making it possible for us to be here this morning to come and show our faces before Him. We beseech Him to see us through the service, and that the things that we will say will have a place in us by His grace. Today, we find that so many people are going to their places of worship, But the fact is that, do they really tell them the truth where they go to for worship? Let us borrow the words of the prophet Jeremiah at Jeremiah chapter 5. We are going to take it from verse 1. But let's ask the question at verse 3. Read verse 3 first before you go to verse 1. He asks a very pertinent question. Jeremiah chapter 5, read me verse 3.
O Lord,
O Lord,
are not thy eyes upon the truth?
are not your eyes upon the truth? This question, we members of the JKS and other church groups where they preach the truth of God's word, we can answer it. And so, start from verse 1.
Run ye to and fro from through the streets of Jerusalem.
Brothers and sisters, let's take a look at the various places of worship today where they have gone to for worship. Read on.
And see now,
And see,
and know,
and
seek in the broad places thereof.
and seek in the broad places thereof. We have some of the cathedrals almost twice the size of our hall here. Big, massive. Yes.
If ye can find a man,
If you can find a man,
if there be any that executed judgment,
we are not talking of the true judgment of Jehovah God. Read on.
that seeketh the truth,
Fine. That speaks the truth.
and I will pardon it.
Hold it. It is not the truth of saying, oh, someone met you on the way and said, where are you going to? Oh, you say, I'm going to Salem City for worship. That is truth. A correct statement. It is not that. The truth of the word of God as contained in the Holy Bible. Do we find it among many of them? The answer is no. Read on.
And I will pardon it.
And God said, well, he will have pity on the world. Read on.
And though they say,
Yes.
the Lord liveth,
And you find them. God spoke to me last night. The anointed servant of God. They even go further. Anointed woman of God. God said to me, what did God say to you? Yes.
surely they swear falsely.
It's false. They are not saying the right thing. Jeremiah 23 from verse 23 down tell us that they don't see anything. And if at all they see, it is the imagination of their hearts. I have not sent them, yet they run. I have not spoken to them, yet they say I have spoken to them. It's all lies. Read on, brother.
O Lord,
Oh Lord,
are not the eyes upon the truth?
are not your eyes upon the truth? That's the question. And to you and myself, by the grace of God, we can stand tall to say that we are abiding in the truth by God's grace. Satan the devil has so much corrupted the world. Read me 2 chapter 4 from verse.
But if our gospel be hid,
For if our gospel be hid, that people don't hear it, people don't hear it, what is who are lost, those who don't want to believe, those whom Satan has sealed their hearts, they don't want to hear the truth of God's word. Read on.
in whom the God of this world had blinded their minds,
The God, Satan the devil, I blinded their mind.
of them which believe not.
They only see the light. And that was why Jeremiah asked, oh,
In this mountain,
God has said, where his people will be fed with the truth, with his knowledge. Yes.
shall the Lord of hosts make unto all people a feast of fat things,
Beautiful. Exactly. A feast of fat things. Go on.
a feast of wine on the lees,
A feast of wine on the leaves, well refined. The wholesome doctrines of Jesus Christ, the wholesome doctrines of Jehovah God. When we not say it and people hear it, they marvel. It has always been said that most of these pastors, they say to themselves, when we had an argument the other day at NTA Benin, one of them came out, and when he saw the members of the GKS, the ministers, he said, well, we be preachers, none be teachers. We are just preaching. But GKS, you are teachers. put his cap and he greeted us. But when you see them in the flamboyant agbada, 1,500, 1,500, you see the slick suit that they wear, the shoe, you feel, oh, they are near to heaven. But the man came and said, we are just preachers, but GKS ministers and members, they are teachers. And you know what that means? A teacher, before he goes to the classroom, he has read, he knows in his syllabus what he will teach the students. And if questions will come, he knows where and what he will answer them. He has that knowledge. You see, but they can just open a passage in the scriptures and they start to read. And that was why God now asked, oh Lord, and not thine eyes on the truth. The truth as we know it in JKS, there are so many. Grouped under 10 fundamental truths of the Holy Scriptures, including who is God, Jesus Christ, ransom sacrifice, and others. Ask many of these churchgoers, do they really know it? Do they really know it? There was this case of somebody who went to one of the villages around, and he listened and he heard somebody calling his son Jehovah. Jehovah, come here. Can you imagine that? Somebody calling his son Jehovah. From Jehovah to Joseph. And when they asked him, why do you use the name Jehovah? He said they hear the name Jehovah, Jehovah, Jehovah. And I give him picking Jehovah. That is rubbish. That is rubbish. It's because they don't know it. But in the JKS, by the grace of God, we know who Jehovah God is. Who Jehovah God is. He is the Father of all. And so, Satan the devil has blinded the mind of many that they will not believe. Read on, brother.
Of fat things full of marrow.
Of fat things full of marrow. Brothers and sisters, sometimes take a look. Just sit down and ask yourself. And look from your mind the subjects of the God's Kingdom Society. We are enriched, brothers and sisters. There are so many. And each of these, if you want to trace it, if you want to discuss it, 10 minutes is not enough. Is it who is Jehovah? Who is Jesus Christ? God's kingdom? What is baptism? Resurrection? Ransom sacrifice? We can go on and on and on. God has said in his holy mountain, there he will feed us with fat things full of marrow. When we go out for lectures, brothers and sisters, when we are talking, aren't you proud of being a member of the church? When you see ministers and well-matured brothers, when they come out to speak, aren't you happy? And you start telling them, that's my church, that my church be that too, that my church be that too. It's just like a mama or a papa. When your son is in the university, without anybody asking you, you see my picking, you see, John, it is for Uniben, it is for Uniben. Who asks you? But you won't say, hey, you see Caro, or you see so. Now I'm Robert. Have you heard it? Wine on the leaves, well refined. When we take that wine, that word of God, it moves us, it motivates us. And when we are saying it, brothers and sisters, it quenches the fiery darts of the wicked. Go on.
And he will destroy in this mountain.
God had not said that in his holy organization, such as the God's Kingdom Society, what will he do? He will destroy, yes,
the face of the covering cast over all people.
The ignorance that is in the world, God says he will remove them. And that is why today, nobody can bamboozle, nobody can mislead any true member of the GKS. When you are saying something that is wrong, the man will just be nodding his head. Sorry, this man is out of the way. This man is out of the way. That's it. God has said in his holy mountain, he will take off ignorance from us. Read on.
And the veil that is spread over all nations.
And the veil that is spread all over the nation. Was that not one of the reasons that God chose St. James Robo of the blessed and eternal memory? He said in his memoir that God called him to go and establish this kingdom, to uproot ignorance from people. It is so stated in his memoir. Yes, is that the end? And so we come to see it. And so the Bible tells us, as Jesus Christ had a dialogue, John chapter 4 now, from verse 22 to 24, where he had a dialogue with the woman of Samaria, and he told the woman explicitly, and what did he say? The Father seeketh for such that worship him in spirit and in truth. John chapter 4 verse 22 to 24. Please read.
Ye worship.
Ye worship.
Ye know not what.
You don't know what you are worshiping. Yes.
We know what we worship.
And to we members of the church, we cannot thrust our chest out and say we know whom we are worshiping. If Jehovah is to stand for us to see, and Jesus Christ is, we'll be able to know this is Jehovah, this is Jesus Christ. We know whom we are worshiping. Yes.
For salvation is of the Jews.
For salvation belongs to the Jews. Read on.
But the hour cometh.
But the hour comes. Yes.
And now is.
And now is the time. Yes.
When the true worshippers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth.
Exactly. When the true worshippers, underline that word, true worshippers in your mind. When the true worshippers will worship Jehovah in truth and in spirit. Indeed, if we don't have the Spirit of God in us, then we cannot say to be God's children. Romans chapter 8 verse 9 is so stated that we need to have God's Spirit in us. And when that Spirit is in us, it moves us, it catapults us, He motivates us to do what is right. And so, brothers and sisters, you and I were here this morning to listen to the word of God that will be preached from the altar once again today. And so I thank you all for listening to me, and God bless you all. Thank you. We are going to take an interlude before the preacher will come up. TSP 124, TSP 124.